Welcome back to the United Pubcast. Manchester United on their way to Wembley after demolishing over two legs, Nottingham Forest. Forest did put up a bit of a fight in that second leg, but obviously the damage was done for Manchester United in that first leg, so nice and comfortable even at Old Trafford. Now, look, Rob and I were having a discussion a little bit earlier. Yes, a nice and comfortable even. It was probably too comfortable for our liking in regards to Erik ten Hag put such a strong team out, and I'm sure that will dominate a lot of the discussion. But hope everyone is having a good night. Please sort of interact in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the match, the result, and what you are feeling ahead of our first domestic cup final since the FA Cup final. I think Jose Mourinho against Chelsea.
The worst FA Cup final ever.
It wasn't a good one, so fingers crossed this is a good one. Obviously, I do like the League Cup, so I am going to treat this like the Champions League for the next month, unless we lose it. But I am definitely looking forward to it. So if you are looking forward, please do leave a like on the video. And I think we're only a few subscribers away from 1,500. So if you are new, hit subscribe, hit like for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. But Rob, Manchester United are back in the League Cup final. As I said, rivals will be on here. Oh, it's only the League Cup. It's only Nottingham Forest. As I said, for me, and I think the majority of Manchester United fans, for the next month, it is the Champions League final. And so just talk to me about your day.
I can't wipe the smile off my face, to be honest. It's just, we go back a decade ago, and this is just, it's normal for us to like cup finals or, semi-finals, cup finals, winning trophies, winning multiple trophies. Now, 5 years we've had a drought. Obviously, what happened in the Europa League final, I think it's a combination of how quickly I didn't think we'd get to this point, and how much that we fast tracked it. And I'm just so proud of what Eric and the boys have done. I'm like, obviously we want to win it, but I want to win it because I think this one's going to feel more than just a League Cup. Like you said, it's going to feel nearly like a Champions League triumph. It's going to get that monkey off our back if we can cross the line. Obviously, I'm wrapped. I can't wait for it, mate. I'm telling you, I'm already excited now. I'm nervous and excited, but I can't wait.
You say all those things and think about everything you just said there. That was to Manchester United. Newcastle are having the exact same discussion. It's quicker than they thought. The monkey off their back in regards to Trevor, they're having the exact same story. They're going to treat it like a Champions League. I just said I'm treating it like a Champions League. But Matt here, good to see it's only Newcastle. I'm sure we haven't. I'm kind of enjoying. Look, I don't like Newcastle. I obviously respect them, but in regards to a lot of Newcastle fans are popping up on my timeline lately. I haven't seen them for the past, and fair play to them, obviously. But they're starting to get on my nerves a little bit, and maybe that's because they're doing things right. So maybe that is why. But I'll say good day to people in the live chat. Justin here, good to see you. Evening, lads. Best part of this morning's result was seeing Sancho smiling on the touchline before coming on. I want to get into that, and obviously a fantastic photo. Obviously, Rob's a big fan of Jadon Sancho as well, so definitely be discussing that. Dion, good to see you, mate. Matt, as always. Jay, hope all is well. Sully, good to see you, mate. George, good to see you, mate. Have a good result. Lucky Casemiro got something. Casemiro, that'll dominate a lot of the discussion from the start. That starting 11. Look, I've been nothing but full of praise for Erik ten Hag, and rightly so. He's been absolutely brilliant. My one criticism comes today. I thought, look, fair play. We got to the final. I love Erik ten Hag. I think he did get it wrong. But Sancho, relaxer. Good one. Not bad there, Chris. It's good to see you, as always. And there's another comment from George. But on that starting 11, Rob, okay, and everyone get your thoughts in the comments here because this is interesting. Erik ten Hag got it right because we won the football match quite comfortably and we're in a cup final. So nothing but praise for me. I absolutely love it. And Erik ten Hag has not put a foot wrong this season. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. So this is not a criticism. However, I have a disagreement with Erik ten Hag here. You can sit here and say the strong 11 was the right thing because ultimately we sort of see the game out quite nicely. And if it was a weaker team, well, did Nottingham Forest get a goal? And how do those weaker players react to the sort of panic stations that would set in? But my argument to that would be if we had a weaker team, maybe a Brandon Williams giving Aaron Wan-Bissaka the night off. Or look, I know Kobe Man is an extreme case because he's 17, but another player like that, I know we're sort of, unfortunately, he's got quite a few injuries in midfield, but another replacement for Casemiro, those weaker players, what I think they would add to this game, just a little bit more energy in terms of they would have made up for it. Because I think the players on the field, our star players, would just, played well, went through the motions a little bit. So I think what we would have lacked a little bit of quality, we would have sort of made up for in a little bit of intensity. So in my opinion, I don't think Marcus Rashford needed to come on. I don't think Casemiro needed to play. I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's first choice right back at the moment, I think he could have had the night off and we still would have seen through. Now, ultimately, Erik ten Hag might not be just seen as just going through. He might have just wanted the result in terms of keeping winning momentum. So ultimately, Erik ten Hag got it right. In my opinion, though, I was watching that match sort of like this, going, oh my God, what's happening in regards to injuries and potential suspensions. So, Rob, am I being a little bit harsh on Erik ten Hag, or was he ended up, in terms of the way the game played out, right to do it? And we sort of over jumping and thinking 3-0, oh, we're through. And ultimately, if an early goal went in for Forest, that would have changed our opinion. So just your thoughts on Erik ten Hag pre-match and obviously post-match after the fact.
Yeah, look, I was very much on the same side as you, to be honest. I was the first one. Like, as soon as I seen that lineup this morning, I was just like, again, eyes popped. I was just I put my predictions on the official page, and I think I got 3 out of 11. That's how much I thought there was going to be that much rotation. I think I got the goalkeeper right, and maybe I got Weghorst right. I expected him to start maybe one more, but I was, I understand, like, it's respect, kind of thing. We're at home. He wanted to entertain. I think he said it was more momentum. I want to get the result, because I guess it wouldn't have had that much of a great feeling if we did. A lot of people said today that we've taken a 1-0 loss or a 0 draw at home, but especially, I think it's 12 games at home now on the bounce. We've got to win. And I think you just said it's more of a momentum thing, Sancho, for me, actually, like, I wanted Sancho to start against Reading last week in the FA Cup, if I'm going to be honest, but he was in the squad today, and he, what did he get? Come on, 70th minute. So I think it was actually good. Now that I look back at it, I think he made the right decision on that. He's coming to, where the game was safe, even, still 3-0 up. 25 minutes ago, he's coming to a safe environment. The crowd is absolutely gave him a standing ovation and support. So I thought he really got that one right. The Shaw one, again, he's just come back from illness, so it was good to get minutes in the legs there. Mate, I had my heart drop to the floor when I seen Brian go down today. Players like him, even with Lissandro, like, I was happy for him to get 45, take him off, bring on, obviously Lindelof came on, Maguire came off, but I would have bring them on half time. I would have been happy to do nearly a big rotation kind of thing. But look, everyone came through unscathed, luckily. Obviously we punched the ticket to the final, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen, still Kobe didn't even get to come on even late in the game, so I would have liked to have seen him.
I think I was disappointed. And look, Lindelof needs minutes. He's a professional footballer who Erik ten Hag needs to keep happy. But for him to come into midfield over Kobe Manu at the end, I just thought I didn't understand that one. But ultimately, we sort of have this selfish nature as fans in wanting to see all these young players. But some of them have also praised Erik ten Hag in his treatment of young players. Says, yes, I want to play them as well. But if they're not performing in training, I can't reward them. So maybe behind the scenes, Kobe Manu maybe didn't do enough. So who knows? But that was an interesting one. But Shane here, big Newcastle fan. Good to see you, mate. Evening fellas, was hoping Forest would come out and win 4-0, but can't wait for the final. Look, it's a big occasion for us as Manchester United fans, a huge occasion. I can only imagine what it does feel like for a Newcastle fan. But what I would remind you, Shane, is last time you played Manchester United at Wembley was a very good week for Manchester United, so long may that continue. Obviously the old Wembley, but we did play them it was a semi-final. We played them at Cardiff a few years later in the FA Cup. But my last thing on that team selection and the lack of rotation, ultimately no injuries. So it looks like it was sort of risk-free, or we didn't avoid, we avoided disaster. But my still issue, which I do keep with that, sort of even bringing Rashford on, like little subs like that, was we've had discussions in the past in terms of treating players like animals. You just in your mind envisage them as sort of video game characters at the moment, and they have energy bars that sort of saps down throughout 100%. The season. And I just think with Casemiro, if that knocks 2% off him, could we have not done that in another game? Because I do think 3-0 up against Nottingham Forest, this, in my opinion, is genuinely the last chance we had to properly rotate this season. I think every game from now on this season is going to have to be full strength. Now, ultimately, there's going to be one or two changes, obviously, but in terms of a genuine opportunity, maybe West Ham in the Cup, maybe you could rest one or two starters there. But ultimately, I think every other game this season, Erik ten Hag will pretty much be forced to play full strength. I just think this was the last chance to give someone a proper night off. And so my frustrations were there, and I stand by them. But ultimately, we're in a League Cup final, and Erik ten Hag has got to his first final at the first opportunity, after obviously the Bangkok Cup and his first opportunity. So he's on for the Cup double so far, and obviously West Ham in the Cup. Who knows? We could do a Cup treble. Definitely get the parade out for that one. But talking points around the match, Rob, in terms of, I didn't need a performance from today. I just needed no injuries and minutes in the legs for some people and preferably a rest for others. But in regards to the match, before you get into 3-2-1s and everything, any sort of real talking points in regards to pros, cons?
Look, for me, the biggest pro was Sancho in the squad and getting minutes. And with a good reception, that was massive for me. Obviously, massive fan of him. I really think, number one, I'm going to give another positive to Eric, just the way he's managed the situation again. It's not just Sancho this season. He's managed the Ronaldo situation, the Harry Maguire situation now with this. I just think he definitely deserves the plaudits for that, because I actually think we're going to see the second half of the season, he's going to be a real important player. And
Well,
I do like.
we'll stay on Jadon Sancho. Jay brings a point up here. We'll have the Sancho discussion now. So
That's what I'd
Sancho
say.
played as a 10, which would be mine, which Larry and I have had many discussions saying we could potentially see a future for him at number 10, maybe a little bit better suited than in a wide area. First thing, before we get into his performance and the number 10 and the future for Jadon Sancho, just that I'm sure everyone has not stopped staring at it. My whole day at work was just staring at the photo of Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. Just your thoughts on that, because ultimately it's a photo, and Erik Ten Hag is a very smart man on the sideline in terms of how he dealt with Ronaldo. He knows how that looks like and the certain behaviours sort of thing. Jadon Sancho is a different situation, but there was sometimes not a positive or negative, but there was an issue there regarding Jadon Sancho's return. So Erik Ten Hag was very clever in regards to the way he's on the sideline with him. But ultimately, it did look like a genuine thing, and that smile, and tell me if I'm sort of overestimating the impact of this, but that smile definitely alluded to the fact, and I still don't need to know as sort of a stranger to Jadon Sancho, but that reaction from Ten Hag, if genuine, which I do believe it was, did allude to this wasn't a disciplinary issue why he's away or a physical fitness thing why he's away. To me, it did look like Jadon Sancho was coming back from obviously something mentally he was struggling with. Like this did look like a personal thing. So just your thoughts on that sort of moment, because it was a lovely moment when Jadon Sancho was coming back onto the pitch.
Yeah, look, again, 100%. And look, as I back you up again, genuine for me. We've seen that little cameo, what happened between him and Bruno the other day when he came off, just a little bit of a, player-manager moment. But yeah, look, I genuinely think because he seems like the type of manager that he just doesn't give people minutes for the sake of it. Like you said before, you've got to earn it. And we all know this wasn't from an injury. It was most likely a mental thing. And he didn't play in the World Cup. He went away to Holland. He done his own training camp. He's come back to Carrington in the last 2 weeks and trained with the team. He's still, there's a few games I thought he would have jumped on obviously the first leg of this game and the FA Cup. But this is kind of like saying, okay, you've kind of got to the finish line. We're rewarding you. You're back in the team now and you can fight for your position. So for him, and like I said, it was a safe environment, man. 3-0 up, semi-final going into the final. He's going to get the reception. And he came on and I thought he'd done a pretty good job, man. Everyone forgets he's been out since October, man. That's a long time.
Yeah, long time.
Season, to come back in. And so, yeah, I think I would have liked him to get a little bit more minutes just because our next lineup, I think, is going to be extremely interesting what he does and how someone like Sancho, is he going to be, straight into the team? Is he going to be fighting for position? What position is he going to be fighting for? Obviously, today he got thrown in the 10 and Bruno went out wide. And he said that we've seen him play in the 10 before at Dortmund. He's a very creative player, but especially with Eriksen out now, and I don't know if he's trying to maybe put him around that 10 as a creative player again. Maybe Bruno kind of drops deep and bees in the pivot with Casemiro, how Eriksen was. So I think there's a lot of questions, but there's a lot of versatility in the team, which we've seen already with someone like Luke Shaw playing at left centre back. So it'll be interesting to see, and even Lindelof today playing in the CDM as well.
Well, with the name we haven't even really mentioned, we'll discuss at the end. Sabitzer, we do have a new player. It'll be interesting. I'm sure we're all waiting the training for him. He'll be at Carrington today. Obviously, the players who played last night will be doing their own warm-down session, but Sabitzer will be in the normal bit of training. Robbie, if I drop out, my internet's just sort of playing up. Do waffle on in the comment, but I want to talk to George. He's here. Good morning, guys. Obviously, morning in the UK. Nighttime in the UK. George was at the match. So, George, let us know what the match was like. It was a tough watch here on the other side of the world, watching on TV. The game didn't really have that energy, but I'm sure for your first time at Old Trafford, it was a special experience. And obviously, Manchester United winning in the semi-final. What a debut to make at Old Trafford. And Justin, we'll get into this point a little bit in regards to, I'm sure everyone's looked at the fixtures before it. It's an absolute nightmare. Newcastle fans are rubbing their hands together. It doesn't look promising for United that week out. But obviously the title of the podcast there in terms of our front three, there's a good photo everyone's looking at in terms of Martial, Rashford and Sancho. We're going to put Sancho in this front three discussion. Now, ultimately, he's coming number 10, and it maybe changes the dynamic of that. But let's still say Sancho as a right winger or a left winger, however you want to look at it. Anthony's come in and done sort of quite well and sort of improved in recent weeks. I thought again today was fine. Now, some people want a little bit more to his game, but I think Anthony is what he is at the moment. Now you throw Jadon Sancho back into that, and there's obviously the debate that constantly changes between Weghorst and Martial. But Martial came back, scored a good goal. Almost stuffed it up with the pass, but had to be there and the opportunity to take it. So fair play to him. And I thought it linked the play up well, sort of as he does in other aspects of the game. So our best front three in terms of we play Newcastle tomorrow in a cup final. Is Jadon Sancho part of that, or is Anthony still there, or is Martial Weghorst? Is that something going to change there? Just your feelings and everyone in the live chat. What are you feeling about our strongest front three?
Well, look, it's hard to go if we're playing tomorrow, considering that he's only had 20 minutes. But it's good that we've actually got these quite a few games coming up before that, because I think we'll actually see by then what will be our strongest. For me, I'm going to go straight off and say pre-season. We all seen that front three in the pre-season and how fluent they were. And
Solskjaer's front three.
not just that, but Eric Ten Hag has said consistently when those three play together, that's his front three. Martial has been out injured 3-4 times this season on in big blocks, and every time he comes back and gets a little cameo, we see how much praise he gets from Eric. We all know what Anthony can do. We all know how good he is. And he even said today, he goes, Anthony's not even 100% fit yet. So if he gets 100% fit, we're really going to see him go up another level. So for me, I personally think that's his front three. Rashford has got the left side on lock. And if Martial's fit, he's our number 9. Obviously, Workhorse is a good option to have off the bench or for an aerial threat. Or even he's been, to be honest, for someone who's so tall, he hasn't even had really a lot of crosses to be an aerial threat. But he's still very good making runs and linking up the play. And for me, it's going to be a shootout if Sancho wants the right-hand side, because I think unless he's going to get the 10 because of the situations, and then he's going to play Anthony as well, that'll be interesting for me. I think Bruno still should be the 10 for me. I like Bruno in the 10. I know he can still
Bruno
fly
on the right. What does Eric Ten? Because I don't know. When I watch him go out there, I watch him put in crosses that set up goals, or he gets on the end of things, scores goals. So I see the end product that it ends up working. I understand that. I still don't understand why it happens though. Now ultimately I'm proven wrong when he provides the results, but I don't see what balance or what tactic he's now. Obviously, Eric Ten Hag is getting exactly what he wants, and he's seen something that I can't see. But I don't see what he's trying to achieve by Bruno out on the right. Is it just maybe a different angle to create a chance? I'm not sure. Why do you think the main reason is he pushes him to the right?
I think he actually said in his post game today, it's just a surprise. It's just something that the opposition's not really gonna expect, especially when you got someone like Anthony as a winger. And Bruno goes out there for however long he was out there today, and I think he put triple the crosses what Anthony has. That's the thing I don't understand. I love Anthony, and his defensive work today I think was really good. He had an okay game, but his defensive work rate is always what gets him over the line for me if he hasn't got a goal and assist in him. But I don't understand how he doesn't cross the ball, this guy. Bruno went over today, bang, the crosses started coming out. I think even Casemiro, that 1-4 Weghorst that came off the post.
Yeah, George just brings up here.
First cross that he got aerially hits the post. Like he's massive. Put
against Palace as well in his first game. Luke Shaw first time put a cross in, almost scores a goal. And I just think that is a tool. I understand he wants to play the way, and he does have the ability to sort of link up play and play football, not in the way Anthony Martial, but they can kind of play that role a little bit now. I know Eric Ten Hag would like all the football to be seamless, and some player is injured. Okay, someone comes in and does that sort of same job. But ultimately, if you do have a weapon like Weghorst up front, you do have to use it. I know we want to play the proper football in and around the box and create chances, but ultimately why he is there, well, especially on loan only for a short time, you do have to use him. But someone else, some put it a little bit earlier in the chat, I'm not sure where it is. Apologies who it was, but it was along the lines of, are we ever going to get a penalty again? Because Weghorst won that penalty.
Mate, I don't know. Honestly, like when the commentators even saying how is that not a penalty? It's not just this game. Like it's been about 3 or 4 times this year. I think there was one against clear cut the Sancho against Newcastle. We would have got the 1-0 win instead of a 0 or draw there. There was another game that we missed out on. Like since Klopp came out 1 or 2 years ago and whinged about it, I feel like we just don't get penalties anymore. Honestly, we can count on it. In the last 3 seasons, I reckon we've had 5 penalties if we're lucky. Considering the first year under Bruno, I think he had about 25 penalties for himself.
Yeah. Matt here with a point. Do we overlook Garnacho's influence on the team when he comes on?
Look, to be honest, he's what is it, 18, 19 now? These minutes are for him are valuable. I think every time he's come on,
I think he just sort of suffers because Rashford's on the left and we see Garnacho mainly on the left.
That's it. That's why I said it. For me, that's about his Marcus Rashford, or he's the left side backup now. That's what I mean. For Sancho, it's probably he's going to go into the 10. Or he's going to fight for the right side with Anthony. I think Garnacho's nearly got that on lock, that left side behind Rashford now. And also, like I said, if there's any rotations or if Rashford was to ever get touchwood injured, I think he comes in straight on that left-hand side up. And I just love the way he runs at players, runs at the byline, cross it in. He does his step overs. I think he had another good shot today too early on when it was 0 and it was saved. He's always creating or always trying to do something, which is great at his age.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, it's that time of the show. I'm definitely going to need help in the comments. And Rob, maybe you can take the floor and maybe take all the points here because I'm not sure where I'm going to throw these points. So 3, 2, 1s. Anyone new to the podcast, 3, 2, 1s, we sort of give 3 points to man of the match, 2 points and 1 point, so on. And it's not necessarily just the man of the match, someone who has the biggest influence on the match or the moment of the match, which proves pivotal. And this match, as I said, Rob, my main emotion throughout the 90 minutes was sort of watching a little bit of dread and a little bit of frustration, thinking, I would have preferred to see something else. So maybe I don't have the greatest sort of tactical insight on the match. So I'm looking at it. I'm not sure where these points go. Look, ultimately, Martial got a goal. Fred had 90 minutes of goal. So I think you have to look at maybe Fred in there potentially. I thought Bruno had a good game. Then ultimately, I don't know anyone sort of really stood out and said, okay, they're my 3 points today. So in the chat, do let us know your 3 2 1s. And Rob, I'll give you the floor for 3 points.
3 points goes to Bruno for me today. And I don't normally put him in the 3-pointer mark too much. But yeah, I thought he was all over the place today. I thought he was a menace. I thought his crossing game was good. I thought he tracked back and defensively he was good.
He's safe with the ball compared to Bruno. I thought he was very mature.
I think that's the perfect word, mature. And I feel like it hasn't just been this game. I feel like there's been quite a few games in the last few weeks that I feel like he's matured. Or I don't know if it's, we've seen him before as captain and still been a bit of a hothead. But in this last couple of weeks, I really think, he's really taken on that captaincy really good. So for me, he gets my 3. I have to put in the 2. For me, Heaton's getting 2 points now. I said that.
Well, George here has Heaton for 1, yeah?
Heaton for me. Look, the guy, it's a dream for him. I think he's played, 2 games this year. He's got 2 clean sheets, and he made 2 or 3 really good saves today. Even at nil. I think there was one that, deflected off their own player, kind of blocked it, which could have went into. But there was 2 really big saves in that game to keep the clean sheet. So for me, he has to be, I don't care if it's 1 point or 2, but he's got to be in the discussion tonight.
Yeah, look, I see that here, and Justin is saying Heaton, some great saves. Give him a point. Look, I like Tom Heaton. I was fortunate enough to meet him in Melbourne. Lovely guy, and one of those genuine guys. Sometimes you meet a person and you think, oh, he's nice. They're a nice guy. Tom Heaton was genuinely a nice guy. So I'll give him a point. As I said, big savers, or maybe not sort of match winning and match sort of influential, but ultimately it's a league couple, technically 5-0 up at the time, sort of thing. So look, let's be generous. We'll give him a point. Bruno, I agree, for 3. So it opens the floor up for 2, and ultimately, it's a hard one. Dion here, I thought Garnacho was good as well. Varane, I thought it was a Rolls Royce. Now, I think if we put Lindelof at the back or Maguire or whoever in that, I think it's the same game. So ultimately, I don't know how influential Varane was, but he was faultless as usual. I absolutely love Varane's performance. George here, Bruno, Martinez, Heaton. So I think a lot of people are going Bruno as well. Adam saying Bruno for 3 points. No idea for 2 and 1. I don't know for 2 or for 2 points. We've gone 1 for Heaton, 3 for Bruno.
Okay, so that's 2.
Matt here saying Sancho in regards to the occasion, potentially if we want to be generous. I don't think that's too influential on the match, but
for me, if it's picking out of the 2, it's got to be out of Fred or Martial for the 2 points for me.
Well, Martial ultimately still, look, I think Fred in regards to a goal and more minutes than Martial is more influential, but obviously Martial sort of with an important goal, and I think in terms of linked up the play quite nicely. So I would mainly, and look, I've been quite critical of him, I would potentially lean towards Fred for the 2 points.
Yep, I agree with that. I think he played really good. I think it's he's been consistently good lately.
He's making that spot his own now. Well, now, obviously, in unfortunate circumstances with Eriksen being dropped out, but now someone needs to play. It's going to be Fred or Sabitzer. Or McTominay's obviously picked up a bit of an injury as well.
Agree. I can't fault Fred lately, but that's what I've been enjoying about him. He's the perfect squad player. He's someone that when it gets to 70th, 80th minute, okay, bring Fred on. He's got the legs for the last 20. He can help control the game. He's scored 4 goals this season. He's one behind Anthony. That's nothing against Anthony, but he's always late in the game. He's always got a goal. He's always got the pressing game on. Obviously, he hasn't need to do it for the 90 minutes normally, but that's where I hope, if he does have to step in and play, nearly 80, 90 minutes a week now with Eriksen out, we'll see if he can be consistent in that aspect, because off the bench, he's been great. He's been really good, and he's been a go-to for Ten Hag as well.
All right, so that's a little bit of homework for everyone in the live chat. If you can get this in, Rob's just alluded to Fred having 4 goals. If you can pick a big player from another club, a Liverpool player or Chelsea player who hasn't got 4 goals, who Fred has scored more than, do let us know in the comments and we can celebrate our midfield Brazilian. But speaking of that, Fred, and obviously the 3-2-1, so we'll go Bruno, Fred and Tom Heaton for the points. Fred's sort of competition now in midfield. His new arrival, Sabitzer, was at Old Trafford. He didn't get the pitch unveiling like Casemiro or Varane did. Maybe it has to be a permanent transfer for that, so a little bit hard done by. But kind of what it is in regards to a loan sign, he's coming in to do a job. He's not here to sell shirts like maybe a Varane or Casemiro, the motive behind the board bringing players like that in at the time. So Sabitzer's here to do a job. He's here to replace Christian Eriksen. From all reports, it does look like it was very last minute in regards to the contact with Bayern Munich, and Sabitzer himself was even Weghorst alluded to when Weghorst was brought in. He only knew about it 2 or 3 days before he signed. So it does look like this was the case with Sabitzer as well. Ultimately, just your feeling towards his arrival in regards to There was a lot of frustration around deadline day, and rightly so. Ultimately, it finishes with a good arrival, but Rob's been it's a good arrival because of the bad position we'll put in earlier in the month. So just sum up your thoughts in regards to the arrival of our first Austrian at Manchester United.
Yeah, well, look, I was expecting nothing, so to wake up to something was nice. Again, the club, it was reactionary, not proactive as well, which is a big thing. But we have to say a signing like him in whatever 24 hours, 2 days, whatever it was, to get that over the line in time, I have to applaud them because
is that more frustrating that they can do that?
It is. Like it just, I think you said it on the pod 1 or 2 nights ago. If Ericsson was fit, we should have had him as well, like someone like that. Not because Ericsson, got injured. But look, I think he's a really good player, and I was actually listening to Eric again today saying he knows the player from Salzburg, he knows him from Leipzig. He's got a good connection with him. So, and again, he's just another one of these players like Workhorse as well, and all the other players he's bringing. That said, bang, they're keen to come, and I just feel like they're not coming for money or to come because Manchester United. They're coming for Ten Hag. They're coming because they really want to give all for the club. Even if it's for 6 months, second half of the season, they'll do everything. And the interesting thing will be because we've seen when Anthony came, bang, he got a debut straight away pretty much. When Workhorse came last week, as soon as he's available against Palace, he threw him straight in. So this one here, I'd like to see it, but I don't know. Only because I don't know how fit he is in terms of he hasn't been playing a lot of game time at Bayern. He's been coming off the bench. At the start of the season, he was in the starting lineup, and then he's kind of faded away. So, look, if he's fit, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets thrown in if he's fit. That's the thing. I think he's got from now till Sunday morning we play, so he's got a few days.
Do you think you'll yes, obviously his fitness will come into it, and you can't just throw him in if he's not ready to play, but he'll kind of almost be, you have to. In regards to our midfield situation, we're going to need bodies in there. Like maybe Casemiro or Fred aren't available against Crystal Palace. Maybe they've picked up not a knock, but just sort of a little bit of a injury or a bit of fatigue. We do need to start rotating because, as I said, this was the last chance against Nottingham Forest to rotate. Yep. So I don't know where this chance is going to come. Sort of occasionally players are going to have to drop out, and Sabitzer, it might not be fair on him. He might need a nice and slow introduction like Erik ten Hag does like to sort of do, but he was doing that at the start of the season where there was a week before games. But now we've got 3 days before a game, and it's a must-win game almost in every sort of time we walk out on the pitch now. So I have a feeling I kind of expect Sabitzer to start. Or start, I don't know. I expect him definitely to be involved.
Oh,
and I definitely wouldn't be shocked. Throw him in the deep end, sink or swim, fingers crossed. He can swim here. There's a comment here, George, how much does it cost to rebuild Old Trafford? Look, who knows? Looks like even if a full renovation is maybe close to $1 billion, and then if that's the case, that's crazy. If that's the case, you think a new stadium, in terms of what Tottenham Stadium costs, what new stadiums around Australia cost, you'd assume be around £2 billion, which is crazy. But I think that's what it costs to make a big stadium now. And obviously, if Old Trafford was to get rebuilt, 70,000 now, 75,000 now, you'd think they would want to be touching 90, 95, 100,000.
Which big. Okay.
You'd have to think, in my opinion, if you're going to rebuild it, you can't just build another 75,000 seater. You're going to have to, because the demand for tickets is there. It's not like Manchester City or something. Yeah, that wasn't a ticket that just came. That wasn't even a ticket city. But speaking of Fred and more goals, Bobby Firmino, 3 goals all season. So Fred is a better Brazilian than Roberto Firmino. Jack Grealish, I like Jack Grealish as a player.
I think he got 2 goals, Jack Grealish, I think. 2 goals, I think, this season. And one against us.
Yeah, but that doesn't count, obviously. Not enough. But George here, I'll make a bet with you, Rob, and I'll make a bet with everyone in the live chat. George here, 100 million for Nunes with only 2 more goals than Fred. If Fred scores more goals than Darwin Nunes, Premier League goals this season, I'll get a Fred shirt with number 17 on the back. So if Fred can sort of get his shooting boots on, I'll buy a Fred shirt. I think Larry's in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Busy with work. 3 away from 1.5 subs. So please, if you're not subscribed, please just click the button. You're holding your phone now. It's just down there. Just click like or subscribe. Be very much appreciated, and give us a good feeling. And Emad, good to see you, mate, as always. Larry, a bit of a shout. But what's the last thing on Sabitzer? Number. We were having the discussion a little bit earlier. He just looks like a number 24, and I think 24 is free.
I agree with you. I'm the one that asked the question. I'm like, I just want to know his number. Surely tomorrow morning we wake up. As
fans, why do we get invested in that? Because we do. They'll say, I want this number, I want in a way this number. Why does it matter? Because it does.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm the first time. I'm like, I just want to know his number. Just put my mind at ease. Give me a number and I'll be happy.
Andy Carroll, I was pissed off with Andy Carroll for obvious reasons midweek. The main reason I was pissed off for the whole match is because he was running around with number 2 on his back.
Yeah, I agree.
So
No, look, when you said 24, I just like didn't say nothing because I think that's a great shout, and I think he could suit him. A good midfield number. So yeah, we'll see. I guess. Has anyone got 22 in our team?
22, that's a shout. In the chat, let us know. George going big here, number 7.
Yeah,
I don't
no
know
chance.
if
No chance. 7.
yeah, I'm not sure what would happen. They wouldn't give it number 7, but look, it's one of those ones in terms of look, 16 is a shout. I think Ahmad has 16, but obviously on loan, someone can take that. Wouldn't be opposed to wearing number 16. Just want to see him out there because my God, we need numbers. In terms of you look at our strongest midfield now, we just had a discussion about our strongest front three. You look at midfield now, I think all of us at the moment go, okay, Fred, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes. That's all there is. Donny van der Beek's not there. Scott McTominay's not there. Christian Eriksen's not there. Kobe Mainoo's next in line. He's 17 years old. So ultimately, Sabitzer is now first cab off the rank. If there's an injury or just not even an injury, a substitution, he's going to have to be thrown in because let's say we're going to slowly introduce him. He's not ready for the Crystal Palace match. He's on the bench. Someone gets tired, or we need a tactical change. He has to come on. He is going to be thrown in the deep end. So fingers crossed is the case. Chris here, laughing at the number game. I'm sure we played this game a few weeks ago. Yeah, look, as Manchester United fans, it happens. I'm not sure why, but we do. Yeah, it's one of those things. But is there anything else on the match before we sort of go on one or two topics to wrap up? Anything else on the match or around Sabitzer or Manchester United you do want to touch on?
No, look, again with Sabitzer, I just think again he's another versatile player that Eric's highlighted. He can play in the defensive, he can play in attacker. I think he's again just another good box to box midfielder that he can do it all. We've all seen a bit of his compilations, obviously on YouTube. Obviously, he's got his shooting boots on. He can score a good goal.
Again, German, I don't know. I think it was a German commentator or a Dutch commentator. They'll cross into him and say, "Well, what does he bring?" And he's saying all these.
He shoots like a horse or something.
He shoots like a horse. I've seen that. But then when you do watch the YouTube, he kind of does. He has that. It's a real powerful shot out of nowhere. He's definitely got that. Any news on Delo? I'm not sure. That's gone very quiet. It does look like it's a decent injury. And when he came off that time, he did get subbed. It was it's just a little knock. It's okay. Then ultimately, it's about a month has passed. It feels like so. Who knows what is happening there?
And with injuries, he never kind of. I still don't know what happened to Donny van der Beek. I know he got injured and he had surgery. I don't know if he broke his leg. I don't know if it was Achilles. I don't know if it was ankle. With Eriksen, I'd say it's his ankle. But like I said, I went back and watched the footage from the other day. He's the one that gave the pass before the goal. He jogged around a bit, looked a bit uncomfortable. He came off. I'm like, what could have been to say he's getting 3 months off? Like, I'm praying he's going to be back before that. And then again, with Dallo, again, he came off in the same situation and he's not even being pictured anyway. So I don't know what the injury is at all.
What happens now? Aaron Wan-Bissaka picks up a knock and can't continue against Crystal Palace, needs to come off or he gets suspended. You know how he tackles. Sometimes you could get suspended sort of thing. So Delo's not there. Brandon Williams on the bench but hasn't been featuring. Well, what do you do at right back? Is that a not simple case because I don't like it, but just
Malacia right back. Yeah, Malacia to right back, Luke Shaw left back. He's done it before. I think.
Are there any other? Oh, yeah, he's done that before. I'm thinking. I wouldn't say this is thinking outside the box, but in terms of someone else, that was my shout. Lindelof going across to right back.
I think last time I seen Lindelof was under Ollie. He played there, maybe in the Champions League game, possibly against Young Boy. Oh no, that was I remember something. Yeah, he's done. I think he has played once, right back once, but again, not for a long time. I think Malacia would be the first shout as well. He's played there before this season, obviously. I think in the Europa League game or something. So yeah, look, let's just hope we don't get to that because Williams. We haven't seen him play.
We just hope it doesn't get to Imad Shadhill. Maguire slots right into right back. Imagine him being isolated against like Dembele or something at the new camp out wide. But Chris here, is Larry taking down the tree? You have to ask Larry. I'm not sure. The tree should be down. Anthony Martial did score, but you're saying, Rob?
If we would do win the cup, and if it's not a dual trophy lift between Maguire and Bruno, I'm disowning Harry. He has to do that. If he comes on, which I think he will come on late in the game. Look, if we're winning, and obviously he's going to be one of them, but if he doesn't do the half a trophy lift with Bruno, I'm really going to have the shits for sure.
It's an interesting point. I was having a discussion with a mate the other day about that in regards to I was in a very similar position years ago when I was playing. We were in it was a reserve grade, so we're under 20s. It was a very strong team. We got to the grand final and we ended up winning it. But we had a captain, and me and this, I was sort of maybe the vice captain. I played in midfield, and we had a striker, and we didn't really like each other, but we had a great chemistry on the field. And I think I scored like 15 goals from midfield. He scored 35. We're just compatible on the field. We had a great season together, but off the field, we didn't have a great relationship. We were fine. Like, we were sort of cordial with everyone, but yeah, there was a bit of tension between us. And but at the start of the season, I was sort of quite a leader in my team in terms of the way I played the game. The coach came up to us at the start of the season. So, look, you're the captain, but ultimately I need to keep Drew happy. I need to keep him happy. He's going to have the armband just because if not, his toys went out the pram sort of thing. So you just carry on do your job. I'm just going to give him the armband so he's happy. And so, yeah, no, that's fine for me. Thought nothing of it. And then before the grand final, we had a semi-final and the coach was away. And the first grade coach came down and gave me the captain's armband for the semi-final. And that caused all heap of drama in the dressing room. There was words said and everything, this and that. So we won the semi-final, got through to the grand final. The coach comes back from overseas for the grand final. The captaincy goes back to the striker, which I had no issue with. Okay, he's been the captain all season. Throw him the armband. There was a little bit of tension there, but nothing on. We were sort of professional in the way we carried on. But before we went out, just in the tunnel, he turned around to me and said, Tom, when we lift the trophy, you're going to come up with me. We're going to lift it together. I thought, okay, that's nice. Yeah. When we did the grand final, won it quite easily. And I thought, okay, no, this would be nice to sort of lift a trophy in front of everyone. He walks up there, grabs the big cup, and holds it up like that. I thought, okay, fair play. I don't think it was any ill intent behind his decision to do that. He just got excited. But that sort of did sort of throw back memories of me in terms of maybe I'll put myself in the Bruno Fernandes shoes. He does deserve to be in that position to be able to lift that trophy. But ultimately, Harry Maguire is the club captain. He has been given this responsibility. Well, whether we agree with it or disagree with it, he has been given it. That is a job that comes with a lot of sort of off-field duties he has to do and sort of represent the club. So, especially away from the field, that is a big responsibility. And he is the captain. He's one with the armband. That will be interesting in terms of how Erik ten Hag deals with that.
I think you'd do it. In my opinion, I think he's a gentleman enough to do half and half. That's in my opinion.
Do you think Erik ten Hag would be aware of this situation and make a decision, say this is what's happening, or do you think Erik ten Hag's not thinking like us fans?
No. For me, this should be just a man-to-man thing. We've seen the team today. I mean, the team looks as strong in unity as ever, man. Every time everyone goes and high-fives each other after a goal, everyone looks together. When the players, doesn't matter if you play 1 minute or 10 minutes or 90 minutes. I love what he's done to the team and how everyone's just such one unit at the moment. So for me, I actually think Harry Maguire would make that decision himself. That's my opinion anyway.
Well, there has been many times Manchester United captains have had a sort of dual lifter. I remember Steve Bruce and Brian Robson, club legend, Manchester United captain, didn't really play in that first season of the Premier League. Steve Bruce was sort of on the pitch the whole time. So Steve Bruce and Brian Robson lifted the trophy together. Champions League final, Rio Ferdinand was captain on the day. But Ryan Giggs was they lifted it together because that was the day Ryan Giggs surpassed Sir Bobby Charlton's appearance record. So there are some occasions of this, and I think also adds a bit of a nice touch to it in terms of something a little bit different. Remember the one 12-13 and Manu Vidic was about to lift the Premier League trophy with Patrice Evra, but gave it to Sir Alex to lift. So it's all part of it, and it sort of reminds you back in time when we look back, hopefully we win it, but when we look back in 10 years at two players lifting the trophy, we'll remember, that was when Maguire, just before Maguire left and Bruno Fernandes was coming through. It'll give you a story. So speaking of that, we'll wrap up with the Newcastle final. Now, obviously, we'll do many previews before it in regards to, especially discussing Newcastle. As I said, they're on the big stage now. We have to discuss them in terms of big teams in the Premier League. I think they're level with us in the points-wise, are they?
Yeah, they're level, better goal difference, so they're in front in that department.
Yeah, so here we are saying, Manchester United, we're favourites. They're with us on the table, so we're having a good season. Imagine how good of a season they're having. So we don't have to sort of pay them the respects they deserve. But ultimately, a month out, or best part of a month out from the final, you'd say confident?
No comment. You know me, mate.
I was so confident before the match. Now that we're there, I was saying, oh, God, just the occasion around Newcastle. Their fans will be down there. It's a big occasion for us, but 10 times bigger for them.
Our 5-year drought is their 69-year drought, number one. I just think the occasion, like you said, will be massive for them. Their defensive record, the best in Europe, that worries me a bit. And I just don't want this game to go to penalties. I don't want it to go to penalties. So, but besides that, look, the people that do give me positivity, Varane, Casemiro, winners like that, I think big game players, they'll step up and they'll be massive in the game like this. So fingers crossed, everyone's there and fit and firing for this game. And I think it doesn't even feel like it's a League Cup final. I honestly feel like it's like an FA Cup final or like nearly something in the Champions League. It's just, I'm really happy it's these two teams, but I'd be even happier, obviously, to triumph over this. Like, it's always nice when you win a final against like a big rival or another big team kind of thing. Like, if we win this, it's going to have a way better feeling than when we won the League Cup against Southampton in 2016-17. So, yeah, then we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, definitely. Borche here. Good to see you, mate. Happy birthday. Hope all is well. There's a comment here. Just before I touch on that Newcastle point here, Adam brings up here, dislike that Maguire takes the armband off Bruno, which I agree. I don't think he did it today, did he? I saw him come on and defend a corner.
I didn't see him do it today, but I agree. I don't like how come on for 5 minutes and they change it. Again, I think it's a respect thing on, but yeah, that's just.
I don't think he did it today though, because I didn't know the camera stayed on Maguire when he was running on. So is he going to take? Is he going to take it? And he just sort of blended into play. So who knows? Maybe he ended up taking it for the whistle, but I'm not sure. But I do agree on that. George here saying he did get the armband. I didn't see that, but fair play, Harry. Fair play. I think he'll be all over that trophy when we do win it. But Newcastle there in regards to the occasion for them, like you talk about, for us, it feels like an FA Cup final, Champions League final, because we've been so starved of football or success in recent seasons. Newcastle, do you think the occasion sort of does play into this in regards to it's a football match and having Rafael Varane and Casemiro and Eric Ten Hag and an informed Marcus Rashford fills us with absolute confidence? And the good thing about that, it fills us with confidence. We're worried about Bruno from Newcastle or Joel Linton or Isaac. Newcastle are 10 times more worried than what they see in red. They're very worried about our side of things, which is a good thing. So we have to take confidence from that. But it is a big occasion. Manchester United, last time we were in a final, we failed. We bottled. I don't like the term bottled, but in terms of we weren't up for it. The other team was up for it. And how do you think Manchester United deal with the sort of pressure compared to how Newcastle will deal with it?
Again, I think this is a new team. When people like Anthony, Lisandro Martinez, a new manager, and Eric Ten Hag, he's been in this situation before. He's won trophies, won multiple trophies in domestic and his league title over in Holland. So I think that's going to take a big thing. He's really strong with his whole mental aspect of the game, and wanting to always like, okay, we've done this, but I want to do better. And I think even again today, he said the MUTV asked him, we've got so many games leading up to this game compared to Newcastle. And he goes, I've done this before. I've done it at Ajax. I've won domestic titles and with 3 days in between. So I've done this. I know how to, he even said, I know how to handle the situation. And after hearing that, it kind of calmed my nerves down and say, like, he always backs himself and he makes like big decisions, like I said, today playing such a strong team was another big decision, but he's come out and he's got the right decision done again. So look, I just trust Eric, man. So in that aspect, I think we've got a lot of experienced winners in our team, which has to be for something. But for me, I think the occasion makes a big on them. Thinking in the back of a Newcastle, they're going to go down as legends if they do. Like
I think there's a hope in regards to many, and it's true all sports, but especially football. There's almost an adage and a feeling that to win a grand final, to win a final, you need to lose one. And that maybe takes me a bit of joy. Okay, we lost our one in Villarreal. Okay, we lost that. Okay, now we can win one. Newcastle haven't lost their one yet. So hopefully this is the one Newcastle lose, and they'll learn from that before they go on to win here. Darcy, my name is Darcy. I'm autistic and 21 years old. Huddersfield Town fan. Good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Darcy, Huddersfield, a good mate of mine, Australian, not Manchester United. I wish he played for Man United, but Aaron Moy scored against Manchester United for Huddersfield. I didn't like him at the time when he did put that past David De Gea. I think we lost that match, did we?
Yeah, we lost it and he done a knee slide as well. But I think it was actually 2-1, I think, that game. Yeah.
It might be. Was that Lindelof's first game or Lindelof's first mistake? I remember Lindelof was involved in there was a goal kick and he just got caught under it. It was typical Huddersfield. It was windy. It was a nightmare. It was like one of those cold days at Stoke. But George here, Ten Hag too open to the press sounds good, but don't want any tactics to slip. Do you see anything? I don't. Look, I can understand where George is coming from there, but look, professional managers that they know all the tactics. Eddie Howe sitting there, he's watching every single footage of what Eric Ten Hag has done. Eric Ten Hag is watching everything Eddie Howe is doing. So I do see like the feeling behind that, but in my opinion, that doesn't sort of impact. Like a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, Dubravka's going to spill all the beans." Well, what does Dubravka know? When Rashford gets the ball, he's quick. He'll try and get in behind. Of course, yeah, Manchester City knew Rashford was trying to get in behind. I think it's one of those things. We'll know the strengths of Newcastle. I think they sort of even themselves out. But one of the last points we do wrap up, Rob, we'll discuss them a little bit before we went on air. Justin here, what's the old Newcastle Bruno? The Newcastle Bruno, obviously Bruno G, we'll call him, despite playing get red in the semi. Criminal, in my opinion. Look, they're the rules, they're the rules. But ultimately, if a Manchester United player had an accumulation of yellow cards today, they would have missed the final in a month. But Bruno G gets a straight red card and he's available. Now, I think when Bruno got the red card, him and the Newcastle players thought that meant he missed the final, which all the world did, because obviously you get a red card in that competition, you're suspended for the next game in that competition. But ultimately, the rules have come out and he can serve those matches and get a couple of weeks off before the final and come back nice and fresh for Wembley. Criminal.
I don't get it. I really don't. Like I celebrated that red card like we'd scored a goal again. Honestly, I did. I got the notification. One of my good mates is a Newcastle fan. Bang! I was straight on in the chat. Yes, Bruno, your Bruno's out of the final and stuff. And then you're the one that spoiled it for me. I just went on Twitter and it's like, no, I'm like, what do you mean with it? Like this cup competition, if you get a red card, you should miss out the final. Like I was amazed. I never heard that rule before. So yeah, like. Yeah, I was very backflip on me.
It's the same for the FA Cup. I think anything under the FA banner, in terms of they just sort of carried on to the next, which is, I don't understand. But then the yellow card rule, if it was an accumulation of yellows, you're not suspended for a Premier League game.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. And ultimately, you do look, it's not a conspiracy theory. Here we are, we perform very well. We can't blame the rest, but you do look at little things, like in terms of penalties going against us. Now, ultimately, we went through a phase where we did get a lot of penalties, but my argument there would be, there are penalties that were fouled inside the box, so we're right to get them. Now, sometimes we weren't being awarded sort of freebies, so it is a tough situation. But ultimately, in terms of Erik ten Hag, is sort of one amongst the players, which I think is a huge, obviously the main part, but also amongst the fan base, sort of getting rid of this excuse and sort of blame culture and it's the owner's fault, which obviously isn't going away. Obviously, a huge part of the sort of reason why we're in this, not at the moment, but bad position we've been in over the last decade, is off the owners, but it's not the referee's fault or it's not these players' fault. Erik ten Hag has brought a real sort of solidity to the fan base and the players in regards to sort of fixing that mentality, which is a huge part. And that mentality, Rob, to the final point, is the main thing that gives me this confidence. Yes, okay, I back Rashford, go past Trippier. I think he's Trippier's obviously good, but if you weigh up the players, I think Rashford's a little bit better. I think our midfield, Bruno, is a little bit better than Sean Longstaff, etc. I think we sort of outweigh them on the field. But the main thing, Eddie Howe's a good manager. He's not on Erik ten Hag's level from what I've seen. So I think we've got the manager there. But ultimately, you do look at the names in terms of Casemiro, who's done it for Brazil, done it for Real Madrid. Rafael Varane, done it for France, done it for Real Madrid. I just think ultimately this is an occasion. This is not just a football match. People try and say treat it like any other game. You can't just treat it like any other game. It is different. Newcastle fans will be down there. United fans will be there. It'll be this massive occasion. Now, Newcastle might deal with it well, but the betting man would suggest if one group of players is going to deal with it better, it would be the red team.
Look, I think you're saying names there. It comes down to the big name at the end of the day. Manchester United versus Newcastle United. Who's the bigger name? We should be putting our foot down on this. And look, I really hope we get this, man. For Ten Hag, for the boys, and we said you win one cup and it gives you that hungriness to go in and continue. And we still are in four. We're still alive in 4 competitions. We don't know what this season can do. For us, fatigue is the only thing that's going to get in our way this year.
Yes, and ultimately, look, goes back to the start of this video. My one criticism of Erik ten Hag, he's been absolutely brilliant today. Fantastic, got through to the semi-final. I think Erik ten Hag got it slightly wrong today, and maybe you look, maybe not next week or 2 weeks, but maybe 6 weeks down the track, you think, oh, that's 90 minutes someone didn't need. But ultimately, I can afford Erik ten Hag one disagreement because he's been absolutely brilliant and obviously knows a little bit more about the team and football than I do. But Rob, been an absolute pleasure, mate. You can see a link in the description below to It's a Football Thing. I think very close to 750 subscribers, I think, very close.
I think 2 off 750, so yeah, no.
So
picking this over the longer would be nice.
You are holding your phone now. Just scroll down the description. Give Rob and the boys a follow on It's a Football Thing. To make everyone very happy. Do appreciate everyone in the live chat today. Plenty of good discussion, especially, look, when's the last time we made a final, for God's sake? It feels far too long. So it's always good when Man United sort of do make that trip to Wembley. I think George is potentially going to Wembley as well. I'm not jealous at all, George. So make sure you pick up something from Wembley for me. But hope everyone has a good rest of the week. Obviously, Manchester United play Saturday night, Sydney time, 2:30. I think, which is a bad one, but ultimately that's not Monday morning. Saturday night's not too bad. Then there's a game before, I think Everton v Arsenal is the lunchtime kickoff, so that could be an all-nighter for me because I definitely want to watch Sean Dyche make his debut. Arsenal-Everton, just to wrap up on that one, that could go bad for Everton. Now, the new manager bounce, they could get the win, and look, ultimately we want that as Man United fans to take a few points off Arsenal. Of course, it would be very funny. Ultimately, though, there is a situation in that game, Everton-Arsenal, Rob. Arsenal could smash them. There is a bad mood around Everton. I know new manager. And if Everton gets smashed at home in regards to what they did on transfer deadline day, which was nothing, that is going to get ugly at Everton.
Look, I'll sneak preview our predictions video drops tomorrow night, I think, and I predicted 4-0 to Arsenal. I really think they're just
if that happens, like they're starting to physically not assault or anything, but they're getting in the face of players. They're meeting players outside the ground. Like this could get messy if Everton gets smashed.
Well,
which would be great viewing. Like you'd watch them just with your popcorn and see what's happening. But ultimately, they are in real danger now going down.
I think yesterday deadline day, I heard there was like crowds outside the stadium, like chanting that they'd like for like the owners' heads and stuff like that. So, mate, last year we all seen how much they celebrated from staying up. I think they're gonna have some job to stay up this year. I really do, mate. I'll be amazing, especially after Anthony Gordon out the door. They didn't bring anyone in. I know he
Their
wasn't
number
for
one
me.
their number one target, which kind of sums up. And look, I like Anthony Elanga, but he seemed to be their number one target in the last couple of days. Which is okay, good. He might have had something, of course, especially Anthony Gordon leaving. There's someone who can come in and do a job on the right, but do a job to save you from relegation. I just think, God, that's kind of look. I like Anthony Elanga, not to criticise him, but my God, like they are in a bit of a hole. Ed wrapping it up here nicely. And look, it's funny, but it's crazy here. In regards to going from Don Carlo Ancelotti to Sean Dyche in 18 months is ridiculous. And look, that is funny, but that is also scary. And look, I like Sean Dyche. I think he's a very good manager. I think criminally underrated and has done a fantastic job. But I think he's got a hell of a job on his hands at Everton. But that is Everton's problem. Man United are looking towards the top of the table, and more importantly, in the near future, looking to head to Wembley. So if you are happy Man United going to Wembley, please do leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. As said in the description below, it's a football thing. You can catch Robbie on there and go give them a follow. And Friday Night Pint will be back most likely tomorrow night discussing the preview against Crystal Palace, and then we'll be back on sometime after the match discussing, fingers crossed, 3 points and maybe going clear of our Carabao Cup final rivals, Newcastle, on the table. But until then, hope everyone has a good one, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers.
Ciao.